I did something I'm not proud of. I dated my ex's cousin. But this got nothing to do with drama, and it's not just something to mix or stir the pot. This is what happens when things are mentally not okay. Hello, babes, and welcome back to She Minds. This is a space where we have open and honest conversations about mental health, healing, and the experiences that shape us as women. Today, I'm going to give you guys a little story time based on my personal experience and what I did when I was going through a very bad depressive state. So you guys cannot feel alone. You guys can understand that when we're in that bad mindset, we're going to do things that are messed up and we're going to do things that we are not proud of. But it's okay. Those mistakes and bad choices don't define you. It doesn't mean you're forever going to be labeled as that. It just gives you the opportunity to learn from those experiences and do better moving forward. Today we're going to be talking about how I dated my ex's cousin. Let's get into today's topic. So first, a little background. Me and my ex were together for about 8 months. We met online. At first, it was just how you would expect an online relationship to go. You don't know if it's going to go somewhere. You don't know if you guys are going to become something. It's just more going with the vibe of it, going with the flow, and see where it takes us. So we were talking and we hit it off. We had a lot of things in common, including having the same dog. So with that, we already thought it was like a meant to be type of thing. However, weren't we so wrong? So we got together about a month later and we met for the first time. He was away at school and I was still at high school at the time, but we were only a year apart. Now he had introduced me to his cousin because he wanted me to be closer to his family, which I was all for. I was a very big family person. I was like, yes, I want to get to know everybody. I want to be talking to everybody, have a relationship with everybody. Calm. I talked to his mom, talked to his cousin. I was cool with his dad. So, all in all, seems it's going great. He comes back down, we spend all the time together, and then we were on the phone 24/7. Guys, if you are in a relationship, it is okay to take a break and take that space for yourself. Which at the time, because I was so like, I want to spend time with you, I want to be around you, I did not take that time that I needed. So I started to not only resent my relationship, but resent him as a person. Because of course, we're constantly around each other, we're annoying each other, we're getting on each other's last nerve, and it's getting to the point where that love that we had for each other and wanting to be around each other all the time turned into hate and just arguments on top of arguments on top of arguments that we couldn't get out of, and it became this cycle. Long story short, we broke up, and afterwards I still had that strong relationship with both his mom and his cousin. However, I was going through it mentally. I had just came out of the hospital, like I told you guys in the previous episodes, and it was just a lot going on mentally for me. A few months later, I went to school and I dropped out. Now, the dropping out had to do with just about me going through everything that I was going through mentally, and honestly, I just felt like I'm not mentally ready to go to college right now. I feel like going into university, you have to be mentally prepared for that, especially if you want to succeed. It's hard to succeed at something that your mind isn't in. And I was also going for something that I was not entirely passionate about. Although I have a business and although I am interested in the business aspects, in a school environment, I feel like that's not what my passion is. I'm always about talking about mental health. I'm always about learning more things about the human brain. For me, I should have stuck on my original route of psychology. But because I had all the things going on with my ex and all the things going on mentally and going to the hospital and the job and all this confusion going around my life, I wasn't able to focus on what I really wanted. So I had changed my major last minute, which drove me down a path of just wanting to quit. Because I wasn't ready for it, I was still emotionally and mentally drained, and I just couldn't deal. So I dropped out. I went through a little bit of things, finding work and going into a job that was leading me down the wrong path and things like that. And that had caused me a lot of trauma. However, the cousin was still there for me. So as we continued to be friends, it wasn't so much of a, okay, we're being friends so that you could get me back with your cousin. It was more, we're friends because we are genuinely being there for each other. When I first had met the cousin, he was going through his own thing. And because at that time I was mentally okay, I was able to guide him and help him out with what he was going through. And now, although me and his cousin were no longer together, we still remained that friendship with the cousins okay, along with the mom's okay, of me and the mom being friends and him being okay with that, him as in my ex, and the cousin being okay with that because my ex was okay with it. So I continued those friendships with both of them. As time went on, we grew closer. They understood me on a deeper level, even on a deeper level that my ex himself didn't even understand me on. My ex and I had a falling out because we tried to be friends. That didn't work out. Girls, don't be friends with your exes. One, it's gonna ruin your next relationship. Two, you're gonna have all these like unresolved feelings, especially if it was like a deep and serious relationship. It's going to be extremely difficult to have and build that friendship unless you are both mentally, emotionally mature to handle it. But of course, since I was in my depressive state, and you know, guys at this age, they're not all matured yet, we were clashing a lot. And all of the things that we liked each other, once again, hated about each other. However, this time, we were not together. The cousin saw my pain because the cousin had gone through a little bit more life in my perspective than my ex had. So he understood me. I feel like it's always easier to relate to people who have also had some hardships in their life. It's harder for people who haven't really had very big things that they have gone through to relate to. Yes, we all go through different things in different levels, but it's about context. If somebody had just lost something that they were doing for a couple of years and then that was like their worst moment in their life, it's very different to someone who has lived through sexual abuse or sexual assault and things like that. So I feel like there was no balance there. Him and I just didn't understand each other on that level. However, the cousin and I did. So out of that love and out of that support that we had for each other, we started to lean on each other, become closer friends, which my ex was aware of. He started to get upset, of course, because it seemed like me and his cousin were together before we were even together. We had feelings for each other without even realizing it ourselves. So my ex, of course, he saw it. However, the cousin and I had built such a strong friendship already that it was so difficult to just be like, yeah, okay, we just can't be friends, right? So we kept that friendship and we just kept it a secret from my ex, which was the very, very messed up part. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is probably one of the worst things I've ever done in my life. So moving forward, me and the cousin decide one day to go hang out. We're hanging out, eating Dairy Queen, listening to music in the car, making a whole YouTube plan, whatever. And he just looks at me a certain way. And girls, you know that when a guy likes you, it's a very different look from when he's looking at you as a friend. The friend look and the I like you look are two completely different looks. So I looked at him and I saw that and I was like, wait, no way. No. Like, I was in disbelief. Like, we have boundaries. Yeah, we're friends and all that stuff. Yeah, we share things, but we don't flirt. We don't talk like that. So we need to keep that boundary. Then I realized, oh shoot, I'm feeling it too. My heart started racing and stuff like that. I was afraid to make eye contact, and I'm usually not like that. So I was like, wait, we cannot go down this route. So later that night, he called me, I called him, whatever. We're on the phone, and the truth comes to light. He says that he likes me. I told him that I like him too, but that it is forbidden. The next time we hang out as friends, we wind up kissing, and that begins us dating, talking, whatever you want to call it. However, it was all done without my ex knowing. So I felt obligated to tell my ex because it was wrong. I knew it was wrong, and I felt like he should know. However, out of respect to the cousin and his request, I didn't. So it was just the on and off again, months of we're together, we can't be together, we're together, we can't be together, but we were still leaning on each other. We were still being each other's support system through all of that craziness. And this is a good reminder that depression does not always look like sadness. Sometimes it's making decisions that you will never make when you're okay. And after coming out of that depressive state, I realized that the entirety of even being friends with the cousin and the mom was not something I would usually do. If I'm no longer with a person, I would leave them and their entire family and the connections I have built behind. Not only out of respect to them, but also out of respect to myself, so that I can truly and fully heal and move forward with my life. But of course, I was in a bad state and I wasn't thinking clearly. I was drinking nearly every week when that's something I don't do, especially as an underage girl. On top of that, I was going out, staying out until 12, 1, 2 in the morning, which is also things I don't do. Lying about my location, not necessarily lying about where I'm at, but lying about who I was with. No, I wasn't hanging around the wrong people or anything like that, but it's just about what we were doing, the context of it. And it's just certain things that I would just never do. In that moment when you're in it, you don't realize how deeply bad you're in it until you're able to get out of it and look back and be like, wow, what the heck did I just do? What did I get myself into? And of course, at some point, the cousin found out, my ex, and he had his opinion. He was not for it. He knew it was going to happen. He had a whole thing. And the cousin, rightfully so, cut me off, which was great because it gave me the chance to be like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I going in this circle? Why am I going back and forth between this family? Where am I at right now? Where is my mindset at? And with that month break that we had, it gave me a lot of clarity and I was getting to a good place. However, I was still fragile. And this is why I tell you guys it is important to understand that falling back is okay. Going back into your own ways is okay. It does not make you any less, and it does not mean you will never grow and get out of it. Because for me, the minute that the cousin came back and was like, hey, how are you? Let's be friends. I said yes, which did mess up my future relationship to be. So for me, it was just more of like, okay, you're not mentally okay right now. You know that this friendship is toxic and that you should not be in a relationship or a friendship or whatever with this guy, nor anyone that he is surrounded with. You want better for your life. I have always been the type of person that hates cutting people off. Like, once I become friends with somebody, I give chance after chance after chance, and I just fail to see the red flags. Even if it's making me lose myself, I stay regardless of the amount of toxicity, which is affecting me. So I made a choice for myself and was like, okay, am I going to continue to go down this path of having people in my circle who are, one, not benefiting me, not to put it like that, but like not pushing me to be better, not bringing a positive energy? Or am I going to sit here and just be around that negative energy, be around that toxicity, and never truly grow as a person? If you're constantly surrounded by the same things and same group of people who are not willing to grow themselves as individuals, you will continue to be in the place that you're stuck at, and you will never be able to fully grow. That's a disservice to yourself. You should want to walk away from those people who are no longer serving your life and be surrounded by people who are going to help you grow and elevate and get to that next level that you want for you. And so I made that choice. I cut off that guy. I cut off his friends, and I focused on me, the people who are willing to be around me, who are going to help me elevate. And no, people did not come quickly or easily. It was not, okay, I had this friend group and now all of a sudden I have a whole new one. It took time. But I noticed that me staying around toxic people was going to put me back into that depressive state that I had worked my butt to get out of. No, I'm not saying it was okay to go and date my ex's cousin. No, I am not saying it's okay to have remained that friendship with them in the first place. However, when you're depressed, your mind is not fully there. You don't truly know the decisions that you're making and the depth of it. You're only thinking about what makes you feel good now and in that moment. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's talking to men, whether it's doing sexual activities, whether it's doing drugs, whether it's smoking, whatever the case may be for you, that doesn't mean that it makes it okay. And that doesn't mean that that's where you should stay at. Because things like that, depending on how grave the matter, can truly ruin your life. And for a while, I believed it had. I shouldn't have done that. And I hurt myself in the process. It hurt to watch someone I used to love and someone that used to love me begin to have such anger and hatred towards me because of the actions and hurt and pain that I was causing him. Did I want to do it intentionally? No. However, that doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it right. And I truly apologize to him for what I have put him through. It was never my intention to go and be with his cousin. It was just my intention to do what I could for me to make myself feel better. And at the time, the cousin was making me feel better. But it is not okay. Taking accountability is what's going to bring you guys to really have that full realization of the things you have done. No, they may not listen. No, they may not care. However, you're not only doing it for their peace of mind, you're doing it for yours. Because when we're depressed, yeah, sometimes we think that we want to be alone, but loneliness is what truly brings our depression to a deeper level. Being alone and being lonely are two different things. And because I was so afraid to be lonely, I didn't want to go through that phase again with having no one around me. I didn't want to experience that. So I stayed with him and I stayed in that friendship knowing the toxicity that it was bringing me. You have to heal and understand that part of yourself before you go into your next relationship, before you go into your next friendships, anything. Which is what I had to do for myself. Yeah, I was entertaining people here and there texting just to like get to know new people. But in doing so, for me at least, what I realized is I don't need to be so dependent on people. I need to be more dependent on myself and become that independent woman that I used to be. I've been going through it for a while. I was in that rough place for a while. So now it's like I'm the only one that's stopping myself from growing. Change your circle. Heal by yourself. Learn how to be alone and to be okay with it. And then you'll be able to be prepared to enter new friendships and new relationships in a healthier manner. Knowing that no, you don't have to be on the phone all the time. Knowing that yes, it's okay to miss people and not constantly see them and be around them every single day. Yeah, it's okay to walk away from friendships who are giving you more harm than good. Because you, at the end of the day, have to do what you can for your life and to build the mindset and the group and the structure that you want for you. Community is everything because it not only builds who you are, it can also destroy the dream of becoming the person that you want to be. Because when you don't choose yourself, you'll choose situations that reflect that. You'll choose friendships that don't necessarily value you. You'll stay in a relationship that doesn't necessarily see your worth because you don't see yourself. And I hope you guys know, I'm not sharing this because I'm proud of it. It was something dark and deep that I did that I'm still in disbelief that I did to this day. However, I have learned from it. I have learned to walk away from people, relationships, and friendships. I have learned to choose my peace and to choose to do the right thing, regardless of the other people are themselves. I have chosen to talk highly about people, to talk highly about myself, to see my self-worth, and to know that it's okay to be alone, to take that space that I need for myself when I need it, and to not be trapped in a bubble because I feel like there's no way out. Because if there is a will, there is a way. And I made that way for myself, and I know all of you can too. Today's journal, we're going to write down 3 things that you guys feel like you need to work on. Whether it's walking away from friendships, whether it's loving yourself, or it's noting toxicity in relationships. Write down 3 things that you know you have difficulty doing. And then under it, write down 3 steps you can take to overcome them. I love you guys so much. And it all starts with you. All of these struggles and all of the bad choices and all of the depressive episodes and all of the things that go on in our minds are controlled by us. We control our decisions. We control where we are and we control where we end up by the work and effort that we put into ourselves now. I believe in all of you. And I love you all. Thank you for listening to my story. And if you guys would like some more story times, just let me know in the comments below. I love you guys so much. And this was She Minds. Bye, babes.